There was once a young man who looked at the stock market not just as numbers on a page, but as patterns waiting to be decoded. He would later challenge giants like the Wall Street Journal, invent systems that revolutionized investing, and even build one of the most powerful financial newspapers in America. But before he became the man the world knew, his journey began in a quiet neighborhood far away from Wall Street. William Joseph O'Neill was born on March 25, 1933, in Oklahoma City. His early years were modest, shaped by small-town values, but destiny had already marked him for something extraordinary. At 14 years old, he moved with his family to Dallas, Texas, where he completed his studies at Woodrow Wilson High School. There, his interest in business began to take root. Unlike most teenagers of his time, William was already fascinated by the world of finance and entrepreneurship. He carried that curiosity into higher education, enrolling at Southern Methodist University, SMU. By 1955, he had graduated with a bachelor's degree in business, equipping himself with both knowledge and ambition. Around this time, he also served in the United States Air Force, instilling in him discipline and resilience, qualities that would later shape his approach to the volatile markets. In 1958, William J. O'Neill walked into the offices of Hayden Stone Company, a Los Angeles-based brokerage, as a rookie stockbroker. At first, he was just another young man with dreams, but soon his sharp mind began noticing something others ignored. Where most brokers relied on instinct or surface-level reports, O'Neill dug deeper. He realized that numbers, when organized and analyzed, could tell stories about companies long before the market did. Unlike many of his peers, he wasn't afraid of technology. At a time when computers were still strange, massive machines, O'Neill saw them as the future of investing. He pioneered using computers in stock market analysis, feeding in financial data to uncover patterns invisible to the human eye. This bold move set him apart. In 1960, Harvard Business School invited him to join its very first program for management development. Surrounded by bright minds and revolutionary ideas, O'Neill refined his own system of investing. Here, the seeds of his famous CAN-SLIM method were planted, a system blending both fundamental and technical analysis. At just 30 years old, O'Neill shocked Wall Street. He purchased a coveted seat on the New York Stock Exchange, becoming the youngest person in history to do so at the time. This wasn't just a milestone. It was a signal that O'Neill was a force the financial world could no longer ignore. Only 3 years later, in 1963, he founded William O'Neill Company, Inc. But this was no ordinary firm. O'Neill introduced the world's first computerized daily securities database, a tool that tracked more than 70,000 companies worldwide. For institutional investors, this was revolutionary. With a few keystrokes, they could access detailed performance histories, empowering them to make sharper, data-driven decisions. O'Neill had changed the rules of the game. Central to O'Neill's genius was his CAN-SLIM strategy, 7 letters that would change how investors approach the market. Each letter stood for a key trait shared by history's most successful growth stocks. C, current quarterly and annual earnings growth. A, annual earnings increases over time. And new products, services, or management driving future growth. S, supply and demand dynamics. L, leadership within an industry. I, institutional sponsorship by major investors. M, market trends aligning with broader cycles. This system wasn't abstract theory. It was built on decades of historical research into the greatest stock market winners. O'Neill's belief was simple. If a company had these traits, it had the potential to become the next market leader. By 1972, O'Neill wanted to give individual investors the same edge he had provided institutions. He launched Daily Graphs, a groundbreaking publication that presented clean, detailed stock charts. These charts simplified complex data into something any investor could understand. For the first time, everyday traders could access professional-grade research tools. Daily Graphs evolved with technology. By 1998, it transformed into Daily Graphs Online, and eventually, in 2010, became MarketSmith, a digital powerhouse. MarketSmith combined O'Neill's CAN-SLIM methodology with advanced analytics, helping investors across the world identify high-potential stocks. It was, in essence, the modern continuation of O'Neill's lifelong mission: to empower investors with knowledge. O'Neill wasn't content with just reshaping investing. In 1973, he founded O'Neill Data Systems Inc., a company specializing in high-speed printing and database publishing. This venture, later renamed O'Neill Digital Solutions, grew into a leader in data-driven publishing and marketing communications, with facilities in Los Angeles, Dallas, and North Carolina. Once again, O'Neill proved his genius wasn't confined to Wall Street. He was equally visionary in technology and publishing. In 1984, William J. O'Neill took another daring step. He launched Investors Daily, a financial newspaper meant to compete with none other than the Wall Street Journal. By 1991, it was renamed Investors Business Daily, IBD, and it quickly earned respect for its actionable insights drawn from O'Neill's vast market research database. Unlike traditional financial papers, IBD wasn't about news for news' sake. It was about giving investors tools to act. Its unique blend of charts, analysis, and strategy guides made it indispensable to traders. By 2015, the paper had a circulation of 113,000 copies, and its website attracted 2.9 million monthly visitors. When print media began to decline, O'Neill once again adapted. In 2016, IBD shifted to a weekly print schedule while offering daily digital updates, ensuring it stayed relevant in a fast-changing world. O'Neill didn't just build companies, he built knowledge. His most famous book, How to Make Money in Stocks, became a Bible for investors. In it, he taught the CAN-SLIM strategy, risk management, chart reading, and even the psychology of investing. He followed it with 24 Essential Lessons for Investment Success and The Successful Investor. These writings weren't just manuals, they were roadmaps to financial freedom, filled with real-world examples and practical advice. Through his books, O'Neill mentored millions of readers across the globe. O'Neill often acknowledged the figures who shaped his own journey. He credited Gerald Loeb's The Battle for Investment Survival as an early influence. He admired market legends like Bernard Baruch, Jesse Livermore, and Nicholas Darvas, along with great innovators like Thomas Edison. These inspirations fueled his own relentless pursuit of innovation and excellence. Beyond his empire of finance and media, William J. O'Neill was a family man. He was married and raised 4 children, balancing professional success with personal devotion. His philanthropic spirit was evident in his deep ties to Southern Methodist University, his alma mater. He funded a chair in business journalism at the Meadows School of the Arts and established the William J. O'Neill Center for Global Markets and Freedom at SMU's Cox School of Business. These contributions ensured that future generations would learn not just how to invest, but how to think critically about global markets and freedom. On May 28, 2023, William J. O'Neill passed away. He left behind more than companies, books, or wealth. He left behind a legacy. He had transformed how the world looked at investing, how individuals accessed information, and how technology could amplify human potential. From a boy in Oklahoma City to the youngest man on the New York Stock Exchange, from a stockbroker in Los Angeles to a publishing giant challenging Wall Street's biggest names, O'Neill's life was a masterclass in vision, discipline, and courage. Even today, investors who study charts, apply CAN-SLIM, or flip through Investors Business Daily are walking the very path O'Neill paved decades ago. His story reminds us that innovation and discipline can rewrite the rules of entire industries.